Hi there, it's Heather Home from Lightworkers Psychic Readings and Energy Healing out of Peterborough, Ontario. And today I'm just going to do a little video about development. I get a lot of calls from young people, older people who are believing that maybe they have some abilities, but they want to ask some questions. They're not sure where to go, how to get started. They want to know what steps to take. So right off the bat, I want to start off by saying my belief is that all living beings have intuitive abilities, whether we're talking about plants or the animals outside or our pets or ourselves. We all have some form of intuition that is built into us. That is nature's way of helping keep us safe. And then from that, we can develop, we can have strengths, we can take it away from there. So there's a wide range of strengths of abilities. The average person is about 50%. That's the halfway mark. So if you're taking guesses or getting feelings, impressions about something, we've often heard about mothers who have an intuition about their child. Their child is somewhere else, and somehow they just know that their child is in pain or they need help. We've often heard about people having prophetic dreams, or a loved one has come to them in their dreams and they don't consider themselves to be psychic. Maybe this just happens once or twice in their lifetime, but there's an ability there that takes place. So that's about the 50% mark. It's the average person. We do have people who are maybe a little further down the scale. They always seem to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. They are challenged in life. They are not quite so much in the flow with nature. And so that puts them a little bit further down the scale, maybe about the 30 to 35% mark. And then there's the average psychics or average intuitives, fill in the blank, whatever term you want to use, sensitives. I would say somewhere between the 70 to 85% mark. And then we have the highly exceptional, which I would put at maybe the 95% mark. There is no such thing, as far as I'm concerned, as a member of the human species who is 100% correct 100% of the time. I don't know anybody who is that right all the time. So take pressure off of yourself if you're learning to develop. You don't have to hit that 100% mark. It's just not possible. On average, most of us are the average psychic, so anywhere, as I said, between 70 to 85%. So on an average day, I might be around the high 70s, low 80s mark. So that means maybe 2 out of every 10 things that I say I might not quite be hitting, but 8 of them I am. On the days when I'm really hitting it out of the park, it seems like I can't get anything wrong, and that's just like everybody else. We all have really good days at work. It doesn't matter whether you're a lawyer or somebody at the checkout counter at the grocery store or a police officer. We all have average days at work, which are most of our days. We have really good days where we're just hitting it out of the park. Nothing can stop us. And then unfortunately, every once in a while, we have a day that's not quite so good. So for myself, being an average psychic, on my really good days, I would put myself at around 85 to 90%, which means like maybe 1 out of every 10 things that I say I'm not quite getting right, but 9 out of them I am. My not so good days, and thankfully this doesn't happen very often, but days when I'm just not quite doing as well, I would put myself maybe down near the 70% mark. So 7 out of every 10 things that I'm saying are correct, but I'm missing a few. So that's the same as everybody, as I said. So try to take the pressure off of yourself. I know there's some taboo around some of this. We want to do well, we want to perform. And quite frankly, for a lot of us who are light workers, in whatever way that we apply that, we do this because we want to help people. And so it's very important to us to be as accurate as possible. That's great. You get that through practice. Not through your natural abilities, at least not for most people. You get it through being in the flow. And so there are a number of ways that you can do that to help yourself be in the flow. This takes practice daily. It takes a good attitude. It takes your spiritual abilities, your spirituality, your love for the world, and so on. And that helps you get better at what you do. No different than from back in the days in school. So if you think about the things that you were good at in school, that gives you an idea about your intuitive abilities, actually, because your body is built to do what it's supposed to do. Our species is a network, and some of us are good at some things and others are good at other things. And so there's this wide range of different things that we can be looking at. So if you're really good at math, you might want to look at astrology. If you're really good at art, you might want to look at intuitive astrology or intuitive art. If you're really big on physicality, maybe you're very sensitive to the environment, temperatures, textures, and so on, you might want to look at psychometry. Maybe you're really good at picking up things from objects as you hold them. All of your physical senses, they are heightened, extrasensory perception. That's what we take a look at when we're looking at our abilities. And then we apply those to the different types of readings. So for example, life path versus fortune telling, which are basically the same thing, past, present, future. The difference being that with fortune telling, the idea is that things in the future are set in stone, and with life path, we have free will. And so the choices that we make change the roads that we travel down in the future. And so with, say, those two types of readings, you can use perhaps your clairvoyancy or your clairaudience. Maybe you hear information from another source, a higher source, hopefully. You might get smells or tastes, and these give you clues and cues to help you figure out what information is coming through, and then you apply that to a type of reading. So I know this is a little bit much. Maybe if you're new to this, it can be a little bit confusing. There's a lot to learn. No matter how long you've been doing this, there will always be more to learn. Get started, get excited, have some fun with it. And just another note, then the tools on top of that are different, so or a whole other thing. So for example, tarot cards, I get a lot of people calling, they want a tarot card reading. And the fact is that tarot cards are just tools, the same way that objects are, crystals, pendulums, scrying bowls. They're just tools that help us do those variety of readings that I was just mentioning. So they're not actually types of readings, but perhaps you are better at using some. So I do tend to use tarot cards and oracle cards a lot because I need a creative component, because I'm good at both maths and arts. That's two different hemispheres of the brain. So with the arts, that is right brain. And so I need some kind of creative component to get me started. And the pictures on the cards, the colors, the shapes, they helped act like a diving board to get me into the water. I can also use intuitive art or automatic writing, scribbling. These kinds of things stimulate that part of the brain for me that is already naturally inclined, and then it helps get the ball rolling. It revs things up, and then I can continue, jump in the water, and do even more things. Perhaps you have other things that you're really good at. Maybe you are physically active. Maybe impressions come over you physically. There are all different types of ways that can take place for you. So sorting out some of that can be a challenge. Where do you start? Start paying attention to the things that you are already good at, that you were good at back in school. I do recommend this book for newbies who are just getting started. This author is not a sponsor. I just find that her book is really good for people who are just trying to figure out how they work intuitively. So this is Discover Your Psychic Type by Sherry Dillard. It's got a nice checklist in it. You have to kind of keep things, like use some common sense as you're going through the checklist. And then she takes you through some of the different types of abilities, and she writes some examples to kind of paint a picture for you so that you get an idea of the different ways that people have intuitive abilities. It's not as simple as just saying I am psychic or I am not psychic. If most living things have an intuitive ability, then how are they using that? And we all use it differently. So that's my recommendation for that. What else can I tell you? I think that's about it for today. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to call or email. I don't charge for telephone conversations. I think that as a community, we really need to support each other. I have been so fortunate to have my community, my mentors who helped guide me through my process of figuring out who I am as an intuitive person, and how to apply those. in the world of giving readings for clients. So I want to help give that back to others. So I'm always happy to have a telephone conversation or answer questions by email. There are groups out there. Please join a group that makes sense for you. There are development groups. There are spiritualist churches. Whatever it is that works best for you, get out there, find them, and enjoy. So that's it for me. Again, I'm Heather Holm of Lightworker Psychic Readings and Energy Healing, and I wish you all happy development. Be in the flow, be one with nature, be happy, and live your best life possible. Developing your intuitive abilities can only amplify that. Love and light to you. Take care.